On September 21, 2014, in the quiet forests of West Milford, New Jersey, a group of friends set out for what they thought would be a simple Sunday hike. None of them could have imagined that only a few hours later, one of their own would become the first recorded victim of a fatal bear attack in the state's history. This is the story of Darsh Patel, a bright young student whose final photos tell a haunting tale, and the tragic events inside the Apshawa Preserve that would shock the entire nation. Darsh Patel was just 22 years old, a senior at Rutgers University, passionate about computer science and full of ambition for the future. To his friends, he was adventurous, curious, and always up for new experiences. That Sunday, Darsh joined 4 of his close friends for a hike through the Apshawa Preserve, a 576-acre nature reserve known for its winding trails, dense woods, and peaceful streams. The preserve was a popular escape for locals, a place where city noise faded into birdsong and rustling leaves. It was late afternoon, a cool September day, and the group set off into the forest expecting nothing more than fresh air and conversation. But deep in those woods, something else was moving. The Apshawa Preserve was not widely known for dangerous wildlife. Black bears lived in the area, yes, but for decades, encounters had been rare, and fatal ones unheard of. New Jersey's wildlife department often reminded hikers that black bears were usually shy, avoiding humans whenever possible. But on that day, the group's hike would become an exception. Somewhere ahead, a black bear was on the move, and instead of fleeing, it seemed curious, maybe even bold. Step by step, paths were quietly crossing. As the hikers moved deeper into the trail, one of them suddenly noticed a large figure in the distance. It was a black bear, heavy, dark, and alert. The friends froze. For a moment, there was silence, only the sound of their breathing and the faint crackle of leaves under the animal's weight. Instead of running, the bear simply watched. Then it began to follow. At first, the group stayed calm. They whispered among themselves, debated whether to keep walking or turn back. Some believed the bear would eventually lose interest, but others felt uneasy. The animal was clearly not leaving. Like many of us might do in the moment, Darsh Patel reached for his phone. He snapped several pictures of the bear as it lingered behind them. The photos, later released by authorities, show the animal standing tall in the woods, following at a distance. These haunting images would tragically become his final moments captured on camera. Meanwhile, the bear crept closer. Each time the group looked back, it was still there, quiet, determined, closing the gap. What started as a curious sighting was now turning into a pursuit. The hikers quickened their pace, their voices growing more nervous with every step. Pause for effect. They thought they could outwalk it. But the bear wasn't giving up. The friends quickened their pace, hoping the bear would eventually stop following. But it didn't. Every turn of the trail, every glance over the shoulder, it was still there. And each time, closer. Their casual hike had turned into a silent chase. The group whispered urgently, some suggesting they should split up, others insisting they stay together. Panic began to build. What had started as curiosity from the bear was now something far more terrifying. A predator locked onto its prey, and the prey was them. At one point, the friends stopped and tried to make themselves appear bigger, shouting and waving their arms, the way experts often recommend. But instead of retreating, the bear pressed forward. The group realized they were out of options, and in that moment of raw fear, they ran. Branches cracked, leaves scattered under frantic footsteps. The forest echoed with their shouts and the pounding of shoes against dirt. Behind them, the bear charged. 4 black bears. Running can trigger their chase instinct, and this one was relentless. In the chaos, Darsh fell behind. Whether it was fatigue, uneven ground, or sheer terror slowing him down, his friends later recalled hearing his voice growing more distant as they sprinted ahead. When they looked back, Darsh was no longer with them. He had become the target. The bear closed the distance. Darsh had no chance to climb, no chance to hide. The animal struck with its massive weight, knocking him down. Witnesses later told investigators they heard horrifying sounds from the forest behind them, the guttural growl of the bear and the desperate screams of their friend. But in that moment, they were helpless. To turn back meant certain death. So they kept running, their hearts heavy with guilt and terror. By the time authorities arrived, the scene was devastating. Darsh Patel, just 22 years old, had been fatally mauled. The bear was still nearby, aggressive and unafraid, forcing responders to put it down on the spot. The tragedy was over, but the nightmare was only beginning for those who survived. The death of Darsh Patel shocked the state of New Jersey. It was the first recorded fatal bear attack in its history. Wildlife officials reviewed the case, and his haunting final photos spread through news outlets worldwide. They showed, step by step, how a seemingly ordinary hike turned into a deadly encounter. The incident also raised questions. Was the bear unusually aggressive? Did the hikers make a fatal mistake by running? Could this tragedy have been prevented? For many, the answers only deepened the fear of what lurks in the wild. Experts later emphasized critical lessons. Never run from a bear. It can trigger the chase instinct, as it likely did here. Stay in groups. Bears are less likely to attack larger numbers. Carry bear spray in regions where they're common. It can save lives. But most of all, this tragedy is a reminder that nature, no matter how peaceful it may look, is still wild and unpredictable. Darsh Patel's story is one of loss, but also a chilling warning. A reminder that sometimes, the most dangerous moments happen when we least expect them, even on a simple afternoon hike with friends.